The Norwegian Meteorological Institute is responsible for forecasting weather and ocean and also sea ice for very large areas with waste ocean areas outside the Norwegian coast, all the way to Greenland and North Atlantic, and all the way to the North Pole. And of course in these areas there are very few conventional observations. There are only a limited amount of those ships observations, a few buoys and a few radio sound stations, only a few. So we are totally dependent on satellite data. We are using satellite data for weather forecasting. That's the main purpose. That's nowcasting, monitoring the weather and the weather situation, but also for ocean monitoring and in particular sea ice monitoring. So concerning sea ice, which we are responsible, we have an office in Tromsø which are making daily high resolution sea ice charts, and they are using Metop data, AVHRR, the satellite images, together with radar data, SAR data from RadarSat, to make daily high resolution ice charts for our areas. And of course satellite data is by far the most important data source they have for these purposes. These data are used for ship navigation, for planning, for all kind of activity up close to the ice border. The satellite data provides images. Of course, when it's cloudy, we don't see the surface, so it's only in cloud-free conditions. But when it's cloudy, we use other type of satellite data which can see through the clouds. But Metop data is giving us high-resolution images when it is cloud-free, and they are of great importance for that purposes. All the data we are using for Metop is for sea ice is basically the ASCAT instrument. ASCAT, that's a radar, a scatometer, advanced scatometer. A stands for advanced, and that's a radar which are measuring the backscatter from the surface, from the sea surface. It is mainly designed to measure ocean winds, but it can also be used for monitoring sea ice. And we are using both those data types. Then we are responsible on behalf of EUMETSAT to produce daily global sea ice maps also. And for these purposes we are using Metop data ASCAT for detecting the ice edge. And that is done both for the Arctic and the Antarctic. Sea ice is one thing, but scatometer data is even more important for the open ocean, where we can see the open ocean wind. From the scatometer data we see the wind speed and the wind direction. Very good resolution. We have a measurement for every 25 kilometer on a 500 kilometer wide swath. And these are of course extremely important for monitoring the weather on large ocean areas. They can be used to maybe to locate fronts, polar lows and other severe weather phenomena in the open ocean. The main user of the data is the forecaster, the on-duty meteorologist. And also a lot of these data is going into numerical weather prediction models. A numerical weather prediction model is the main tool for issuing weather forecasts in general. And these are models who are describing the dynamics and the physics of the atmosphere, and you use them to make a forecast of the situation in the atmosphere a few hours to a few days from now. But to do that you need to initiate with data. And satellite data is one of the main input sources for that. From Metop there are several satellite data which are used like EASI, ASCAT, the scatometer, and the microwave sounding instruments. So these are the two most important uses of the data, numerical weather prediction and nowcasting. And then there's of course the third, which I was especially asked to talk about, that is for the ocean monitoring itself. Because the satellite data, as I said, when it's cloud-free, it sees the ocean surface, and we can for instance detect the ocean surface temperature, SST, sea surface temperature. That is a very important temperature which tells you much about the state of the ocean. So a lot of weather is created in the area between the ocean and the atmosphere. So you really need to know the state of this surface. So therefore we are dependent on the sea surface temperature, which we measure from satellite, and also, as I mentioned, the wind speed and wind direction, which we measure from satellite. Having these two parameters, we are in a very good position to give a good description of the boundary layer between the ocean and the atmosphere.